Most girls more interested in the pretty maidens from the songs, jonquil, flowers in her hair.
Most girls are idiots.
You remind me of my daughter.
Tywin Lannister says this to a servant girl, not to a lady of a great house, not to a political ally, to a cupbearer he pulled from a line of prisoners in the ruins of Harrenhal, a girl whose name he never bothers to ask, and he means it as a compliment. He thinks he sees a flash of Cersei's sharpness in this child. But the audience knows something Tywin doesn't. This girl is not what Cersei is. She is what Cersei was supposed to be, and her name is Arya Stark. In the 2 minutes before this line, a servant girl corrects Tywin Lannister on Targaryen history. She names dragons, warrior queens, and Valyrian steel swords that most lords couldn't recall. She calls most girls idiots to his face, and when he catches her in a lie, instead of crumbling, she flips the interrogation back onto him. Tywin doesn't punish her. He laughs. He feeds her. He tells her, "I enjoy you." 3 words he has never once spoken to Cersei, to Jaime, or to Tyrion in 8 seasons of this show. A servant girl earns in 60 seconds what his own blood could not earn in a lifetime. This is the scene where Tywin Lannister sits across from the heir he spent his entire life searching for, and his own prejudice makes it impossible for him to see what is right in front of him. Before we enter this room, we need to understand what both players are carrying to the table, because on paper, this conversation should not exist. It is Season 2. Tywin Lannister has just arrived at Harrenhal to run the war against the North. He is surrounded by failure. His soldiers are incompetent. His intelligence is leaking. Every subordinate either trembles in his presence or attempts clumsy flattery, and Tywin despises both reactions equally. He is a man starving for competence in a building full of cowards. Across the table sits the daughter of the man he helped kill. Arya Stark watched her father get executed on the steps of the Sept of Baelor. Her mother and brother are fighting a war against the man now sitting 3 feet away from her. She's posing as a lowborn orphan to survive. Every second in this room is a high-wire act. One wrong word, one slip of noble vocabulary, one reflex of aristocratic behaviour, and Tywin Lannister will realise he has a Stark child within arm's reach. What makes this scene psychologically extraordinary is a phenomenon called projective identification, the unconscious tendency to recognise in strangers the qualities you desperately wish existed in your own inner circle. Tywin doesn't know he's doing it, but he is about to project decades of frustrated paternal desire onto a girl he pulled from a line of prisoners, and Arya, fighting every survival instinct she has, is about to let her true identity leak through the cracks in her disguise. The conversation begins, and Tywin opens with a history lesson, but make no mistake, this is not a lesson, it is a test, and the girl is about to fail it in the most brilliant way possible.
Harren the Black thought this castle would be his legacy. Greatest fortress ever built. Tallest towers, the strongest walls. Look at it now. A blasted ruin.
On the surface, Tywin is narrating the fall of Harrenhal. Underneath, he is broadcasting his personal philosophy of power. Legacy is not about what you build. It is about whether you can adapt when someone changes the rules. He asks the girl a question and watches her face. This is intellectual probing. He is not looking for the answer. He already knows the answer. He is measuring how she responds. Does she freeze? Does she guess? Does she perform ignorance the way a servant should? He continues.
Aegon Targaryen changed the rules. That's why every child alive still knows his name, 300 years after his death.
This is Tywin's core belief system expressed in a single sentence. He does not admire Aegon because Aegon was noble or good. He admires Aegon because Aegon made the old system irrelevant. Aegon didn't play the existing game better than everyone else. He invented a new game entirely. This is how Tywin himself operates.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
The Red Wedding wasn't a battle victory, it was a rule change. He is unconsciously sharing his operating manual with this child, and she is absorbing every word. And then Arya does something extraordinary. She corrects him.
Aegon and his sisters.
Tywin pauses. He didn't expect pushback. No one pushes back on Tywin Lannister. Certainly not a cupbearer.
It wasn't just Aegon riding his dragon. It was Rhaenys and Visenya too.
This is the first major crack in her disguise, and it reveals a concept psychologists call identity leakage, the involuntary surfacing of a person's authentic self under sustained psychological pressure. Arya has been suppressing her identity for weeks. She has been pretending to be nobody. But Ned Stark raised his children on history and honour, and when someone gets the history wrong in front of her, she cannot physically stop herself from correcting the record. Her father's training overrides her survival instinct. She is a Stark before she's a spy. Tywin
Correct.
says, correct, and now his full attention is locked onto her. This is not a casual compliment. It is a probe disguised as flattery. He is giving her rope to see if she'll hang herself with it. In interrogation psychology, this is called a facilitative prompt, a warm, encouraging question designed to make the subject feel safe enough to reveal more than they should, and Arya
Saying a
takes the bait
Targaryen was a
completely.
great warrior. She had a Valyrian steel sword she called Dark Sister.
She goes further. She volunteers information nobody asked for. She is showing off, and in this moment, she has entirely forgotten she's supposed to be a stonemason's daughter. Tywin sees
The girl's more interested in the pretty maidens from the songs, jonquil, flowers in her hair.
this is a character test. He is offering her an escape hatch back into femininity, back into normalcy, back into the invisible safety of being a typical girl.
Most girls are idiots.
And Tywin laughs. That laugh is the most important sound in this entire scene. It is not performed, it is not political, it is a reflex. Tywin Lannister has just experienced what psychologists call narcissistic mirroring, the rare, disarming moment when a powerful individual encounters someone who reflects back their own idealized qualities. Tywin despises mediocrity. He has spent his life surrounded by people who bore him, flatter him, or fail him, and suddenly a child has expressed his exact internal worldview, that most people are beneath consideration, with more honesty and directness than anyone in his war council would dare.
You remind me of my daughter.
Stop on this line, because this is where the entire tragedy of Tywin Lannister lives. He means it as a compliment. He sees some of her sharpness in this girl, but the audience knows the truth that Tywin cannot see. This girl is not what Cersei is. She is what Cersei was supposed to be. Let's look at Tywin's actual children. Cersei believes she is her father's equal. She once told Jaime, "Did it ever occur to you that I might be the one who deserves your confidence and your trust?" But Cersei makes impulsive, emotionally driven decisions that consistently destroy her own position. Tywin himself diagnosed her perfectly. Jaime had the physical talent and the Lannister name, but he threw away the family legacy the day he put on the white cloak and joined the Kingsguard. He chose a sword over a seat. And then there is Tyrion, the one child who actually possesses Tywin's political mind, his ruthlessness, his strategic patience, his ability to read a room and restructure it. Tyrion is the real heir. He always was.
Madness and stupidity.
But he is rejected because his body doesn't match the image in Tywin's head of what a Lannister should look like. 3 children, 3 failures. Not because they lacked ability, but because Tywin's definition of a worthy heir was so rigid that reality could never satisfy it. And here sits a girl who has all of it: the intellect, the nerve, the historical knowledge, the contempt for weakness, the willingness to look a predator in the eye and push back without flinching. Now Tywin turns to the weak point in her armour.
Where did you learn all this stuff about Visenya and her Valyrian steel sword?
He's closing the trap. He knows no commoner has this education. He's forcing her to either tell the truth or construct a lie he can dismantle. Arya says,
From my father.
He's a well-read stonemason.
She knows it's weak. Tywin knows it's weak. The hesitation before stonemason is the sound of a lie being assembled in real time.
Can't say I've ever met a literate stonemason.
Tywin delivers this line like a scalpel. It is a direct challenge. He is essentially saying, "I know you're lying. Now what will you do?" Any normal servant would collapse, apologise, stammer. Arya does the most dangerous thing possible. She attacks.
Have you met many stonemasons, my lord?
This is intellectual counter-dominance, the act of challenging a superior's logic without directly threatening their authority. She doesn't deny the lie. She doesn't defend it. She flips the interrogation onto him. She implies that his worldview is limited. It is the most audacious thing anyone says to Tywin in the entire series, and his response tells us everything.
Careful now, girl. I enjoy you, but be careful.
I enjoy you. 3 words that Tywin Lannister has never said to Cersei, to Jaime, or to Tyrion. Not once. Not in 8 seasons. He has praised their utility. He has acknowledged their function. But he has never told any of his children that he enjoys them. A servant girl earns in 60 seconds what his own blood could not earn in a lifetime.
Take that back to the kitchen. Eat what you want.
Tywin Lannister, who starves prisoners, who calculates every resource as a military asset, tells this girl to eat whatever she wants. It is an act of unconscious fathering. He doesn't recognize it as tenderness. He would deny it if confronted. But it is there. In a room full of war and deception, a man who has never shown warmth to his own children gives food and genuine attention to the daughter of his enemy. Tywin lets Arya walk away from Harrenhal. He never learns her name. She escapes, crosses the narrow sea, trains as a faceless man, and becomes one of the most lethal human beings in the known world. She carries a kill list, and Lannister names sat on that list for years. Meanwhile, the heirs Tywin chose to invest in systematically destroy everything he built. Joffrey is poisoned at his own wedding. Tywin himself is murdered by the son he rejected, shot with a crossbow in the most undignified death imaginable for a man obsessed with dignity. Cersei, given unsupervised power, blows up a church full of her own allies. House Lannister does not fall to a superior army or a smarter politician. It falls to the accumulated consequences of Tywin's inability to see the people standing right in front of him. The girl at Harrenhal was a preview of everything that was coming, a living demonstration that brilliance, loyalty and iron will exist everywhere, in every house, in every class, in every gender.
House
And
Baratheon,
Tywin,
first of my
the
name,
greatest strategist
the
of his
rightful
age,
king of the
couldn't see it, because he was never looking down. Here's the question that haunts this scene. If Tywin Lannister had known the girl sitting across from him was Arya Stark, the daughter of Ned Stark, the child of his enemy, what would he have done? Would he have executed her, held her hostage? Or would some part of him, the part that said, "I enjoy you," have tried to keep her? Would he have tried to make a Lannister out of the one Stark who actually thought like one? Drop your verdict in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.